WWE is already moving on from Becky Lynch. In this video, I'm going to tell you how they're doing it and what could be in store for Becky Lynch. Because as we all know, her contract with WWE, whether or not you're listening to this after or before, it's June 1st, right? She is gone from WWE. Now, as I touched on in a recent video, PW Torch, Wade Keller, they reported that Becky Lynch is taking a hiatus from WWE. And don't expect her to go to AEW. Don't expect her to become all elite, joining the likes. Oh, and there is such a long list from Chris Jericho to John Moxley to Adam Copeland, Christian Cage, Daniel Bryan, or Bryan Danielson, if you will, Claudio, Malachi Black, you name it, Mercedes Moné, Saraya. When was the last time Saraya wrestled? Anyways, so don't expect her to go to AEW. Now, I will tell you this. Becky Lynch finds herself in a very interesting spot because she does have leverage, right? So, as we all know, she fell short in the Women's Royal Rumble match after a very strong 2023, including a stint in NXT, which I thought was a pivotal moment in getting her back to being the man, right? We had to go through that horrific big-time Bex heel run, right? That was god-awful. She was a female version of Seth Rollins with these wild, ridiculous outfits. And so finally we got back to the man. We finally got back to the persona in which got Becky Lynch over to the point where she was. And then heading into 2024, it's like, okay, what's next, right? Well, she fell short in the Women's Royal Rumble match, but she ended up winning the Women's Elimination Chamber match to earn the right to challenge Rhea Ripley for the Women's World title. Now, despite competing with a fever of 104 and freaking strep throat, she fell short to Rhea Ripley. And she was going to take time off. But, as we all know, Liv Morgan ended up accidentally injuring Rhea in a backstage segment. Coming out of Mania, WWE had to pivot. They had Becky Lynch win the Women's World title in the Battle Royale on Raw. Fast forward, we have King and Queen of the Ring, Liv Morgan. She goes over Becky Lynch, wins the Women's World title. They run it back 2 nights later on Monday Night Raw, and we see Liv retain the championship in a steel cage match and then make out with Dominic Mysterio, right? So that's where we're going. Now, like I said, depending on when you hear this video, June 1st, it's here or it's gone. And WWE, they're already moving on from her. Well, how are they doing so? So PW Insider had a note that I thought was interesting. They're running a house show, WWE that is, on June 1st, right? And they're getting back to the live event loop after doing a bunch of PLEs abroad, if you will. And it's in White Plains, New York. Now, it's ironic Becky Lynch has just so happened to be advertised for this show. But her contract expires at midnight on June 1st. She ain't going to be there. But they ain't going to pull her from the ad either. Right? It's interesting because you're advertising someone, you're falsely advertising them, but they ain't going to appear. Marking the indication of, all right, well, that's it. She also did not get, some people look at it as an extended send-off. I don't think so. Like on Monday Night Raw, once the show went off the air, she took a moment in the ring, she got applause, everyone took that as a big send-off. I don't agree. It wasn't on the run sheet. Reportedly, it wasn't planned. They didn't necessarily show it on television, right? I mean, heck, they missed Liv Morgan and Dominic Mysterio making out. So if there's not a big storyline, if there's not to explain why she's leaving, if there's no acknowledgement that she is leaving, if there's not a big send-off, and you're advertising her for an event that she's not going to work, I don't know what else I could tell you that they're moving on. And look, that doesn't mean that they don't view her as a megastar, which I think she is. That doesn't mean that they wouldn't want her back, which you know that they would. And that doesn't mean that an AEW and Tony Khan would not be interested in doing so. And getting her under contract, making her all elite. Would she help that women's division? Abso-freaking-lutely. Do they need her? That's a hard thing to say, and I'll tell you why. Because look at all of the people that they've signed as of late. Whether it be Mercedes Moné, whether it be an Okada or a Will Ospreay. Go down the list. Go down the list, y'all, because it's a mile freaking long. Did Christian Cage or Adam Copeland or Bryan Danielson, did they make an impact? Did they drive business? Like a CM Punk did. Like a Chris Jericho did. Like a Jon Moxley did. No. Ironically, ever since CM Punk departed from AEW, they've further declined, although I'm hopeful that they can turn things around. But WWE's going to be just fine. They're going to be just fine. They got the brand that is on freaking fire. They cannot do no wrong when it comes to selling out arenas, stadiums, if you will, across the world. They're on fire right now, and props to them. They are currently in a situation where they have built up the brand so much that they don't necessarily need to rely on talent. Now, when that brand cools off, then that's where the talent comes in. And that's when the impact of losing someone like a Becky Lynch, or in injury case, Rhea Ripley and Seth Rollins, or in hiatus case, Roman Reigns, right? You're going to need those stars to rebuild the brand, and then we just keep going forward, right? It's like a 6-month evolution. Every 6 months, okay, we gotta build up the brand once again. And when that time comes, they're going to need a Becky Lynch, but who's to say that Becky Lynch isn't going to be back in WWE in 6 months? I could absolutely see it. I don't see her going to an AEW. I do not see her going to another promotion. I see her taking time off, hanging out with her fam, kind of settle down for a minute, right? She's been on this WWE grind for so many years, and it's brutal. And then when the time is right, maybe she does a little bit of acting, but when the time is right, she'll return to WWE. Just give the woman some time. Hey, y'all, 2 quick things before I get out of here. First of all, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe button, and them notifications. And also, if you are looking for some pro wrestling merch, I got the hookup for you with the best deals in the industry. Link in the description below. And I will see y'all in the next video.